New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman stunningly steps down. That after 4 women accuse him of abuse. We'll look at what happened, what's next, and what people are saying about this stunning scandal. Also, it's primary day in 4 pivotal states. As usual, the shadow of Donald Trump is hanging over everything. We have a primary preview for you. Then, President Trump pulls the U.S. out of the Iran nuclear deal, and the reaction fast and furious. Tonight, we have the details. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and we begin tonight with a stunning resignation of New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman. Now, it all unfolded in, frankly, just a few hours late last night. When the story first broke, just as we went off the air, Schneiderman, he first denied the allegations, releasing a statement saying in part, quote, "In the privacy of intimate relationships, I have engaged in role-playing and other consensual sexual activity. I have not assaulted anyone." But only a couple hours later, he released this statement, quote, "It's been my great honor and privilege to serve as Attorney General for the people of the state of New York. In the last several hours, serious allegations, which I strongly contest, have been made against me. While these allegations are unrelated to my professional conduct or the operations of the office, they will effectively prevent me from leading the office's work at this critical time. I therefore resign my office." Now, the New Yorker, they broke the story. 4 women have made allegations, 3 saying they had romantic relationships with Schneiderman, but they got violent and got worse as they went on. The 4th woman says she resisted going out with him. Here are the details from the piece. 2 of the women allege that he, the Attorney General, repeatedly hit them, often after heavy drinking, frequently in bed, and never with their consent. They did not report the allegations to the police at the time, but both say that they eventually sought medical attention after having been slapped so hard across the face and ear that they had blood in some cases, and they also were choked. A 3rd woman says he also repeatedly subjected her to non-consensual physical violence, but she said she's too frightened of him to come forward. A 4th woman, an attorney who has held prominent positions in the New York legal community, says Schneiderman had made an advance towards her. When she rebuffed him, he slapped her across the face with such force that it left a mark that lingered through the next day. One of the women gave even more details, quote, "He would get absolutely plastered 5 nights out of 7, and on one occasion he literally fell on his face in my kitchen, straight down like a tree falling. Sometimes in bed," she recalls, "he would be shaking me and grabbing my face while demanding that she repeat such things as, 'I'm a little whore.' She says that he also told her, 'If you ever left me, I'd kill you.' What makes this even more shocking is that Schneiderman sold himself as a champion of women. Here he is announcing the lawsuit against Harvey Weinstein and his company.
The conduct really was shocking. There's a lot of language used there that I'm not going to use, but some of the citations to things that Mr. Weinstein said to employees, the pattern of abuse, the use of employees to manipulate his targets or victims of sexual harassment is just really astonishing.
That word carries even more meaning today. Schneiderman, he received praise from the press, fellow politicians, that for his efforts in part to protect women. He fought for their reproductive rights. He was an advocate for domestic abuse victims, and he was a strong supporter of the Me Too movement. Now, Schneiderman is the subject of investigations by the Manhattan and Suffolk County DAs. And trust me, more probes could be coming. Our own Dominic Carter, he is live outside of Schneiderman's home in the city with more. Unbelievable story, Dom.
Indeed, that's the case, Richard. We have been here since 9 a.m. this morning, and Schneiderman has not surfaced once. This, Richard, as New York now has its first woman acting state attorney general. Schneiderman didn't show up for his last day of work as state attorney general, and he didn't emerge publicly here at his Upper West Side apartment in Manhattan. This all exploded so quickly.
This was still deeply shocking and deeply disturbing.
Schneiderman resigned Monday night just hours after he was accused. In the bombshell New Yorker magazine report of physical violence against 4 women, allegedly, often after drinking heavily. Ronan Farrow is one of the journalists who broke the story. He is defending the women involved for coming forward.
Anytime you speak publicly about this kind of trauma and violence, especially in an intimate context, which some of this was, it's painful. It marks you. This was a brave thing that these women had to do. It was difficult for them. But also in this case, doubly so, because he is a power player within their worlds. These are all women closely connected to the Democratic Party in various ways.
I have tremendous accolades for the women who came forward. That is the essence of this Me Too movement.
New York Solicitor General Barbara Underwood said in a statement, "I am honored to serve the people of New York as acting Attorney General. The work of this office is critically important. Our office has never been stronger, and this extraordinarily talented, dedicated, and tireless team of public servants will ensure that our work continues without interruption." New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio says Schneiderman should face criminal charges, and the NYPD announced they want to talk to the women involved. And also this statement from the office of Suffolk County District Attorney Tim Sini, quote, "Upon learning of the alleged crimes committed by Eric Schneiderman in Suffolk County, the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office began an investigation into an alleged assault in the Hamptons in 2016. A political career, Richard, that at one time apparently had so much promise. As you well know, there was plenty of talk of once Cuomo was gone from office that perhaps it would be Eric Schneiderman that would one day be the governor of New York State. And now we are camped out outside his house, Richard, where he has not come out once, but we have been told that Schneiderman is inside. Reporting live from the Upper West Side of Manhattan, I'm Dominic Carter. Richard, let's go back to you in the studio.
And Dom, I've been asked by a lot of folks, and I'm sure you have today, did you see this coming? And the honest answer is no. We had heard rumors over the years. I don't know about yourself. I'd heard some even going back to his time when he was in Albany as a member of the Assembly, et cetera, but nothing that was substantiated, nothing remotely to this degree. And we played some of the sound bites of how he was a champion for women. I mean, the hypocrisy, and for folks who read the detail of that New Yorker magazine, the horrific things he said to these women, let alone the physical abuse. Who was this guy? Did you have any inkling he was capable of this?
Absolutely not. You and I have both been around for a long time. I remember Schneiderman when he served in the state Senate. The rap on Schneiderman back then was that he liked to party, that he liked to date plenty of women, but nothing, absolutely nothing like this from what I've known of him closely in 20, 25 years. Nothing at all, Richard, along these lines. In fact, I know some women that he's actually dated, and they have never said anything like this about him in the past. Obviously, these issues are not going away. I wish I could turn around right now and show you all the cameras that are here at his residence. If he thinks that the cameras are going to go away, it is not going to happen. He is going to have to say something, Mr. Schneiderman. But what's clear, his political career is over, Richard.
And I know I'm up against a break, but Dom, I'm going to bring up on the screen here. This is becoming, they're not the same stories, but talk about New Yorkers that have faced major sex scandals to varying degrees. Eliot Spitzer, it cost him the governorship. Anthony Weiner, not once but twice. It killed a promising political career, destroyed a marriage, and more, prison. And David Patterson, it really ended his governorship in the beginning, although he held on. He came on with so much baggage. It's unbelievable the amount of stories, and I could go on and on to that list, Dom. There's no shortage of misbehaving men in New York politics.
No doubt about it, Richard. New York is fast becoming the disgrace of the entire country when it comes to politics and our elected officials. Here's something to think about. So I'm pulled from Mangano in Suffolk County to get back to Sheldon Silver. I'm pulled from Silver today, the federal trial, the retrial of Sheldon Silver, to be here at Schneiderman. Tomorrow, it's back to Silver, possibly, depending on what Schneiderman does. And after Silver is over, we go back to Skelos again, and then we go to the Buffalo Billions. So the question becomes, all in federal court, when does this stop? It's one scandal, one corruption scandal after another here in the state of New York, Richard.
As I say, Dominic has to wash his hands after work every day here to try and get the stench of this corruption off. Dom, my friend, thank you. I know it's been a long day. I appreciate it. All right, everybody, when we come back, a lot of people are now piling on Schneiderman, including Donald Trump Jr. and Kellyanne Conway. I don't remember them exactly going to great defense to more than a dozen women who've accused Mr. Donald Trump, the president here, of some horrific behavior. For them, instead of Me Too, it's not him.